Welcome. Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening for our first of several informational open house meetings on Puyallup School District capital levy proposition. This meeting is being recorded and will be available tomorrow on our district website. I am John Palm, Superintendent of Puyallup Schools, and joining me this evening are Bob Horton, Puyallup Education Association President, Laura Marco, Assistant Superintendent of Business and Support Services, Margaret Larkey, Executive Director of Technology, and Brady Martin, Director of Capital Projects. We will be sharing information about elements of the levy proposition, as well as answering questions posed in the chat. So in order to pose a question, please submit your question via the private chat feature at any time. Questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation during the Q&A session. Please include your email at the end of your question so we can follow up in writing if we do not get to your question during the session or the live session. We'll have 1 hour this evening, so beginning at 6, we'll be ending at 7 p.m. So before we get into levy specifics, I would like to share a few facts about the school district. We are the third oldest district in the state of Washington, founded in 1854. We have grown from a one-room schoolhouse to a district of almost 23,000 students and 3,700 staff members. We currently are the 8th largest district in the state of Washington. I'd also like to share that a recent Forbes magazine article ranked the Puyallup School District in the top 50 places to work in the state. So we were one of 3 school districts, and we were the top rated of those school districts in the state. So we're very happy about that. We believe it's such a really good place to live and work and go to school here in the Puyallup School District. Lastly, we serve a large area, including the communities of Edgewood, Puyallup, South Hill, and the surrounding unincorporated areas of Pierce County. Now to the levy. This short video coming is about 3 minutes long. We'll provide an overview of the capital levy. After the video, we'll hear from other panelists as well as myself who have information to share, including specifics about Region 1, which is our focus today.
Puyallup School District is asking voters to consider a capital levy on the November 8th general election ballot. This short video will provide information on what the capital levy would fund, highlights of some of the projects that would be completed, and tax information. Proposition 1 is a 6-year, $125 million capital levy to provide needed infrastructure improvements not funded by the state that address safety, security, and technology access throughout PSD schools and facilities. Now let's take a look at some of the areas that would be funded by the capital levy. If approved, the capital levy would fund 5 areas in critical need of repairs and improvements. With a heavy focus on safety and security, 43% of the capital levy funding would go toward keeping schools and facilities safe and secure. Secure vestibules provide enhanced security at schools by preventing access to schools without checking in at the main office. Without secure vestibules, individuals have access to school hallways and classrooms once through the main entrance. Outdated security and life safety systems would be replaced with modern and effective systems to protect students, staff, and property. Aging and failing heating, cooling, and ventilation systems would be repaired or replaced to improve air quality, comfort, and system efficiency. The second area of focus is on technology improvements. 28% of the capital levy would be used on educational technology and internet access improvements to help schools stay current with changing technology. This helps ensure that educational tools stay connected and in the hands of students and staff, and less time being repaired or replaced. The third area of focus is on building improvements. 12% of the capital levy would be used to provide building improvements that help maintain safe and conducive learning spaces. Aging and degraded roofs would be repaired and replaced to address water leakage and other deficiencies. Flooring repairs and replacement would address cracking and damaged flooring in schools. Plumbing repairs and improvements would also be funded. The fourth area of focus for the capital levy is on outdoor learning spaces. 10% of the capital levy would support improvements to outdoor spaces that support student activities, play, and athletics. Replacing dirt and clay tracks that are prone to ponding, puddling, and mud with all-weather tracks supports safe year-round use for students in PE and athletics. Replacing old playground equipment and wood chip infill with new equipment and rubber tiles ensures safe and inclusive play for all ages. The fifth and final area that would be supported by the capital levy is school site improvements to ensure safe access to schools. Dirt and rock pathways at schools that are prone to puddling and mud would be replaced with asphalt walkways for year-round use. School parking lots and traffic flow improvements would also be addressed to increase safety and decrease congestion during student drop-offs and pickups. If approved, the capital levy would cost approximately $23 a month for a home assessed at $500,000. This would keep our school tax rate lower than it has historically been, as well as remain lower than the school tax rates of most neighboring districts. Additional capital levy information can be found on our website at puyallup.k12.wa.us/election. And don't forget to vote by November 8th.
All right, that video is available on our website as well. If you'd like to watch it again, we're trying to also spread it around via social media for folks to see. At this time, I would like to introduce longtime Puyallup School District teacher and coach and current Puyallup Education Association President, Bob Horton.
Thank you, Dr. Palm, for that introduction, and good evening, everyone. As Dr. Palm said, my name is Bob Horton, and I'm the president of the Puyallup Education Association. I presently represent over 1,500 certified educators, which encompass our classroom teachers, elementary, junior high and high school librarians, our music teachers, physical education teachers, counselors, nurses, speech and language pathologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, audiologists, behavior specialists, social workers, instructional coaches, and our newly added social and emotional learning teachers on special assignment within the Puyallup School District that work tirelessly each and every day to create a welcoming, safe, and engaging teaching and learning environment for each student that enters their school. Teachers strive to build positive relationships with their students that allow the students to develop that sense of belonging in their classroom and school. These positive relationships also allow the teachers and educators to create unique learning activities required to meet the students' individual learning needs daily so that the students can strive to reach their full individual potentials. The capital levy that you will see before you on the ballot in November will allow the Puyallup School District to continue its emphasis on providing a safe learning environment for all of its students and staff through upgrades to our school's safety and security systems, improvements to the walking paths, parking lots, and the pickup and drop-off traffic flow at our schools, while also upgrading technology systems and networks to continue delivering students and staff with the necessary tools they need to access curricular materials essential to meet each student's individual needs, and providing those updates to the outdoor areas such as playgrounds and athletic facilities to meet physical and social and emotional needs our students possess as we strive to educate the whole child. As educators, we come to school each day excited to partner with our students in the learning process and continually strive to prepare our students for the next steps on their educational journey. We ask each of you attending tonight's informational open house to join us on this educational journey for our community's children. Now, I'd like to turn this back over to Dr. Palm.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate your words and being here with us this evening. The district is asking voters to consider a $125 million capital levy in November. An informational flyer should have arrived in resident homes by now, and ballots should be arriving this week. The levy is divided up into 5 categories as represented by this wheel graphic on the screen. As noted in the video, the largest percentage of the levy is dedicated to safety, security, health, and wellness. It's important to explain the difference also between a levy and a bond. Go ahead, next slide. The first levies require a 50% simple majority to pass, while a bond requires a supermajority or 60% to pass. bond is generally used for new construction, while capital levy is dedicated for infrastructure improvements, repairs, and items not funded by the state for our operations and facility improvements. The district last proposed a capital levy in February 2022 alongside our educational programs and operations levy. While the EP&O levy did pass, the capital levy fell short. After surveying our community and meeting with parent groups, the district revised the levy to focus more on safety and security. And now we have re-proposed that a modified proposal of the previous levy. The proposal is informed by a study and survey, which was completed by a third party who specializes in school districts. This study and survey was a review of all of the district facilities and provided a report of needs exceeding $500 million over a 20-year period. Our capital team worked very hard to identify the most critical needs for the next 6 years. There are approximately 400 high priority projects included in the proposed levy. And while this does fall short of the overall long-term needs in the district, these projects will help provide many of the most critical safety, security, and technology improvements needed in the district. The next slide represents all of the schools in our school district. Our team has listed the projects identified at each school site. The details for each school can be accessed on our district website under capital levy. Just use the drop-down menu to see what's planned for each site and should the levy be approved. And that's our response also to some of the community folks who last time around really felt we needed some more detail available on the levy proposition. As noted earlier, the district projects are categorized into 5 buckets and they're color-coded. These are security systems, technology, HVAC, outdoor learning spaces, and parking traffic flow. And now I would like to introduce Brady Martin and Margaret Larkey, who will address some of the specific school needs and projects that are planned in Region 1. So go ahead, Brady.
Thank you, Dr. Palm. I wanted to share an overview of the schools that make up Region 1. Elmbridge High School is the resident high school for the region with the following feeder schools. These schools are Edgerton Elementary, Hunt Elementary, Pope Elementary, Ridgecrest Elementary, Sunrise Elementary, Wildwood Elementary, Ferrucci Junior High, and Glacier View Junior High. The following schools, marked with an asterisk on the slide, were recently constructed and are not in critical need of improvement supported by the proposed levy. We would like to now highlight specific projects categories in detail that are included in the proposed levy. I will be sharing information about safety and security, building, site, and traffic improvements. Margaret Larkey will highlight the technology improvement projects for each school. Details for each category will be provided in depth for Edgerton Elementary, which will carry through the remainder of the slides. Margaret and I will share with you. For the category of safety and security, at Edgerton Elementary, we have included lockdown visual alert strobe lights. These devices will be installed in large and loud spaces such as band rooms, gyms, and common spaces. They will provide a visual aid to staff and students in the event of a lockdown or shelter-in-place incident. Replacement of the intrusion alarm system is included as the system is at end of life and equipment is obsolete. The system plays a critical role in securing our building and integrates with our building access control systems. Security camera lifecycle replacements of interior and exterior cameras are included in the proposed levy as equipment is end of life and becoming obsolete. Replacement cameras will maintain our site safety and site safety of students, staff, and community members. The intercom system will be upgraded in the building to allow for enhanced bell schedules, two-way communication between office and classrooms, and allow for morning announcements by student leaders and staff. The upgrade provides further security enhancements for emergency messaging through network integration on the district's network. Fire alarm system field device improvements play a big role for early detection and occupant notification in the event of a fire. The system is designed to evacuate staff, students, and community visitors upon detection of smoke. In the proposed levy, we are including field device replacements and wiring of obsolete and end-of-life devices. The new devices would keep our systems compliant with local and state code requirements while maintaining the safety of our students, staff, and community. Fire sprinkler system upgrades are also included and are as important as a fire system, as the system protects our property in the event of a fire. With the proposed project, we would be upgrading the obsolete sprinkler heads, valves, and switches. Moving on to building, site, and traffic improvement projects, these would include new paved walking paths. The current school site includes a gravel path around the grass play field. We all live in Washington, and it tends to rain quite a bit here. This causes these walking paths to be full of puddles and mud throughout most of the year. By paving these paths, it would allow for year-round use by students and staff for recess and PE, along with use by the community. Playfield drainage is a must-do to our rainy weather and heavy use of our fields. Our fields tend to get muddy and uneven throughout the year. The proposed project would allow for under drainage to be added to the grass playfields to assist with puddling and soggy spots. This project would include topsoil to level the uneven surface of the field and reseeding of the grass. Site parking lot improvements at Edgerton would include seal coating the asphalt and restriping of the parking lot. With equity in mind and worn and obsolete playground equipment, outdoor learning upgrades have been also included in the levy package. We want to make sure we are providing a safe and inclusive play environment for our students and community. New playground equipment includes a playground structure to accommodate all age groups, K through 6th grade, that would replace the existing worn and obsolete playground structure. Rubber tile playground fall protection would be installed beneath the new playground structure in lieu of wood play chips to provide a safe and inclusive play environment for all students and community. I would like to now turn it over to Margaret for technology improvement projects.
Thanks, Brady. So many of the safety and security systems that Brady has mentioned are controlled by software and hardware that run on our networks. Every school has its own network consisting of wires and connectors, and then all schools are connected into the district-wide network, which in turn connects to the network. At Edgerton, and as you'll see in this presentation, many schools in the district, the planned improvements to the network include newer wiring that allows faster speeds. Classrooms, the audiovisual classroom improvements include 65-inch touchscreen displays, so they're interactive displays, and portable teacher sound systems installed to replace the outdated smart boards and overhead projectors. Interactive displays increase student engagement through lessons that enable drawing, writing, and collaborating right on the screen. Edgerton, as well as every school in the district, will get a new phone system. Our existing phone system infrastructure is about 20 years old. We can only purchase refurbished parts for that at this time. A new phone system will allow conference calling, video and voice communications, and the ability to use a district phone number from a computer. Last, but certainly not least, wireless capability will be dramatically improved by running new cabling to the wireless access points. Brady?
Thank you, Margaret. As we move on to Hunt Elementary School, safety and security enhancements at Hunt Elementary School include a new secure vestibule for the main entry to the school. This provides for a secure single point of entry to our schools by directing any visitor to the main office for check-in and eliminating free access to our interior hallways. The district was awarded a grant in December that currently is funding 10 new secure vestibule projects in the district. The proposed levy package includes an additional 4 new secure vestibule projects, with Hunt being one of them. The door entry intercom system lifecycle upgrade will allow for improved safety and security. This system is critical as it allows for the office staff to speak and visually identify visitors prior to buzzing them into the secure vestibule that will in turn direct them into the office for check-in. As highlighted on the previous slides, these additional safety and security improvement projects are also included for Hunt Elementary School that include the lockdown visual alert strobes, lights, intrusion alarm system replacement, security camera life cycle replacement, fire alarm system field device improvements, and fire sprinkler system upgrades. Now moving on to the building and site and traffic improvements for Hunt Elementary. These include the heating and cooling system replacements of water heaters, boilers, pumps, and cooling towers, which all support the heating and cooling systems in the building. These upgrades will provide for continued comfort in the learning environment for staff and students and improve the energy usage at the school. Through the study and survey, it was noted that we have limited areas that need building siding replacement. We will also be cleaning and sealing the brick on the building to prolong the life of the building. Site improvements for Hunt also include playfield paved walking paths. It is also known that we could improve student pickup and drop-off at Hunt Elementary. Additional on-site parking and queuing will be added to improve traffic flow on-site. As part of this project, we will improve the existing parking lot by seal coating the asphalt and restriping. Moving outside, outdoor learning upgrades include new playground equipment for Hunt Elementary School. Margaret?
Thank you. At Hunt, most of the network is of a newer generation, with the notable exception of the portable classroom spaces. So those will have their network upgraded. But most of the planned work is around the audiovisual in the classrooms, which is I mentioned on the previous slide for Edgerton. And I want to just touch on the audio portion of this, since I talked about visual last time. So the enhanced audio and microphones really also increase student engagement, because they ensure that all students are able to hear the teacher regardless of where that teacher is in the classroom. And it also supports teachers by preventing voice strain and the need to project back into the exterior or into the back of the classroom. We will also be replacing or increasing wireless capability and replacing the wireless access points at Hunt. Brady?
Yep. So as we move into Ridgecrest, you may ask, what's in it for Ridgecrest Elementary? Well, we have the following new projects that are included in the Levy package that include a new secure vestibule, lockdown visual alert strobe lights, intrusion alarm system replacement, the security camera life cycle replacement, interior system upgrades, or intercom system upgrades, door entry intercom life cycle upgrades, and fire alarm system field device improvements. The building, site, and traffic improvements for Ridgecrest Elementary will include parking lot improvements with seal coating the asphalt and restriping of the existing parking lot. We also know that improvements are needed for the bus drop-off and pickup, along with additional parking on site. Included in this levy, we would include a designated bus drop-off and pickup area along with additional parking on site. While we are paving on site, a new paved walking path around the playfield will be provided. Outdoor learning upgrades include new rubber tile playground fall protection beneath their existing playground, which would remove and replace the existing wood chips that are currently on site. Margaret?
Ridgecrest, unfortunately, has some of the oldest network wiring in the district, known as Cat5. This technology was considered obsolete in 2001. Ridgecrest will therefore have its whole network updated, including a battery backup capability, so that critical systems, some of which Brady has mentioned, will continue to be able to run if power goes out. Ridgecrest will also have their classroom technology updated with the interactive screens and enhanced audio, as we mentioned before. And these instructional tools do support all learning styles by providing much clearer video, images, and improved sound quality. The phone system and Wi-Fi network improvements are similar to the previous slides. Brady?
Let's move on to Wildwood Elementary School. They also have some new security and safety projects that are included in the levy, which include a new secure vestibule, lockdown visual alert strobe lights, intrusion alarm system replacements, and security camera lifecycle replacements, door entry intercom lifecycle upgrades, fire alarm system field device improvements at this site. Wildwood Elementary has had many upgrades over the last 5 years that have improved the building. There are still many improvements that need to be addressed, such as lighting upgrades that will include new interior lighting and emergency exit lights. Other site improvements included are heating and cooling replacements, aging equipment, new paved walking path, and parking lot improvements. On to the fun stuff. Outdoor learning upgrades will include a new playground equipment and rubber tile playground fall protection for them. Margaret?
So in the summer of 2021, we actually improved or upgraded Wildwood's classroom technology and the network wiring as well. So they're all set there. The planned work at Wildwood includes Wi-Fi improvements, including the technology that we use for screen sharing with the interactive displays. So that's wireless technology as well. So those will be updated as well for faster, more reliable internet. Brady?
Okay. As we move on to Ferrucci Junior High, the following system improvements to the existing portion of the building that were not part of the recent construction that included a classroom addition, commons addition, and interior finishes update, such as flooring and wall paneling, include the following: lockdown visual alert strobe lights, intrusion alarm system replacement, security camera life cycle replacements, fire alarm system field device improvements, and fire sprinkler system upgrades. Building site and traffic improvements are still needed and include parking lot improvements of the upper parking lot, which will include a grind and overlay of asphalt followed by restriping. We'll also be providing lighting upgrades of the interior lighting and emergency exit lighting throughout the existing building. We have included all-weather tracks as our outdoor learning upgrade to all our junior high schools in the proposed levy package. Our current tracks are red cinder tracks. With our Washington weather, we are not able to use our tracks year-round due to puddling of water. The new all-weather tracks will provide for year-round use for PE and athletics by students and community. Ferrucci Junior High will receive an all-new all-weather track that includes new runways and a high jump pits. Margaret?
Well, with the recent addition that Brady mentioned, some parts of the school have already or have had their wireless or have had their network wiring updated. So the planned improvements at Ferrucci include completing the wiring upgrade so that the rest of the school has the same level of internet access and wireless access points as well. Also be updating, as I mentioned before, the wireless screen sharing technology. That's an important technology because it allows the teachers the ability to move around the classroom and go anywhere and have their device with them and be able to display on the screen. And that helps with classroom management because then they can, encourage collaboration with students and allows students to share their own work and presentations from their own devices. So that's Ferrucci. And Brady?
Okay, let's talk about Glacier View Junior High security and safety projects. They're very similar to the other slides. We have lockdown visual alert strobe lights, intrusion alarm system replacement, security camera life cycle replacement, intercom system upgrades, door entry intercom system life cycle replacements, fire alarm system field device improvements, and fire sprinkler system upgrades. When we move into the building and site and traffic improvements for this site, they're focused around heating and cooling system replacements of end-of-life equipment. Parking lot improvements at Glacier View include seal coating the asphalt and restriping the parking lot. Outdoor learning upgrades include an all-weather track as well. Margaret?
Well, if you've been following along, you've noticed some consistency in network upgrades and Wi-Fi network improvements. And the reason for that is, internet usage has increased exponentially over the last few years. Digital curricula, collaboration software, video conferencing have all become the norm in schools and in workplaces. However, right now, less than 40% of students in the Puyallup School District have sufficient internet bandwidth in their classrooms. So we're aiming to fix that. Most students and virtually all staff bring their own personal devices that want to connect to the Wi-Fi, which increases the demand even further. So the planned work at Glacier View includes the network upgrades and, of course, cabling to the new wireless access points in order to improve internet capability. Brady?
Thank you, Margaret. Now for our Region 1 feeder school, Emma Ridge High School, the following security and safety enhancements are included. lockdown visual alert strobe lights, intrusion alarm system replacement, security camera life cycle replacement, intercom system upgrade, door entry intercom lifecycle upgrade, fire alarm system field device improvements, and fire sprinkler system upgrades. Building site and traffic improvements include parking lot improvements that would include seal coating the asphalt parking lots and restriping. Something new for outdoor learning upgrades is 2 new additional tennis courts to allow for tournaments to be held at site. The additional courts will also be added to Rogers High School and Puyallup High School as part of the proposed levy. Margaret?
Okay. Well, like Ridgecrest, Emerald Ridge's network is about 20 years old and also in need of a complete update, and as well as the wireless access points. I do want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about laptop devices. So when a Puyallup School District, Puyallup School District students, when they start 10th grade, they receive their forever computer, which is the one that will see them through graduation. We purchase excellent quality devices and we maintain and repair them so that they last 6 years. But with 30,000 computers in our fleet, we replace about 4,000 computers a year. Innovations in laptop computing, things such as webcams, graphics, audio, longer lasting batteries, touch screens, stylus devices, improve learning environments and foster creativity, as well as position students for post-graduation career and college. So it's important that we keep abreast or keep current on laptop technology. And now I'm going to hand the presentation over to Laura Marco, the Assistant Superintendent for Business Services. Laura?
Thank you, Margaret, and good evening, everyone. So why is this levy needed? Well, regular state funding and our educational programs and operations levy only cover our day-to-day operations, regular repairs, and routine maintenance. That funding is not adequate for the replacement or major repair to our critical systems and infrastructure. In Washington State, school districts must rely on their communities for that funding through a capital levy. And this graph shows the disparity between the district's needs over the next 6 years, as identified by the study and survey mentioned earlier by Dr. Palm, and how much of those needs would actually be addressed with this levy. As you can see, our needs of $206 million far outweigh the $125 million that would be collected from this levy. So you may ask why we're not asking for the full $206 million in this capital levy. And the district is very sensitive to adding to the tax burden of our community. We don't take this decision lightly, and we try to balance the needs of the district with a tax rate that we think our community will support. And then speaking of tax rates, this graphic compares Puyallup's current and proposed tax rates to those of our neighboring school districts. These rates are what is paid per $1,000 of assessed value. The total tax rate is made up of the rate to service our bond debt, an amount for our current educational programs and operations levy, and then a technology or capital levy if a district has one, which is what we're talking about tonight. Puyallup's current rate is $4.26 per $1,000 of assessed value. And passage of this levy would add 82 cents to that total rate. However, the net increase in the rate is only about 30 cents because we are paying off our bond debt as well. So, and we see a significant drop for that in 2023, which absorbs much of that increase related to the addition of the capital levy. But look at the rates of our surrounding districts. Even with the passage of this levy, we would have a higher tax rate than only 2 of our neighboring school districts, which are Franklin, Pierce, and Orting. The other 4 districts, Bethel, Sumner, Bonnie Lake, Fife, and Tacoma, all have higher tax rates. So this really shows that we are asking our communities to support funding at a level that our surrounding communities have already supported. So as I said before, we are very mindful of our tax rates. We want to address the needs of the district while minimizing the financial impacts on our community. So we just want to take a moment to note that our community members who are low-income seniors or those with disabilities may qualify for a property tax exemption or deferral. Those interested can visit the Pierce County Elections website at www.piercecountywa.gov, or you can call them directly at 253-798-2169 for more information on the eligibility criteria and the application process. Okay, so the next slide, what happens if the capital levy doesn't pass? The projects we have outlined in this capital levy are targeted to provide a safer, more secure, and more suitable learning environment for our students and staff. If the levy doesn't pass, it doesn't mean that those critical needs go away. As I mentioned before, districts rely on their communities for this support. We may be able to delay some projects, but as we all know, when you put something off, it ends up costing more in the end. So we will have to find a way to address these safety and security needs and our most critical and failing systems, which unfortunately would mean less money going to our classrooms. And now I'm going to send it back to Dr. Palm to wrap up the presentation.
Well, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Margaret, Brady. I appreciate the detail that you went over all that information with. So I'd like to, well, before we get to questions and answers, did have a couple of things. Wanted to encourage, if you are still with us, that you take away that you really can understand, I guess, the needs of the different facilities within the district, specifically Region 1 tonight. We want you to have a good understanding of that. We want you to be able to share that with family and friends, and then be able to direct them to where information is readily available, which at this point, it definitely is on our website. Of course, it's also on the flyers that we've made available. We do encourage everyone to register to vote. It's still possible to do that online. So if you haven't already done so, please do. And like I said, become knowledgeable about the facts and then share information. We are simply trying to provide information community-wide. I think we have about 27 or so people on the meeting this evening. So pass the word. We're going to do 2 more virtual meetings tomorrow and on Thursday. And then we'll have in-person open house meetings at 3 different sites at Glacier View, Ballou Junior High, and then Aylen Junior High next week. And those are all at 6 o'clock, Tuesday at Glacier View, Wednesday at Ballou, and Thursday at Aylen. So with that, I guess I'll pull up the text box here and see what questions we have. We have a shout out to Mr. Horton, so that we appreciate that. And then let's see here. Just kind of scrolling through some questions on athletic fields. So I guess the first thing is the junior high athletic fields. We're actually talking about the tracks, not the fields. So the fields will remain grass, and so they won't have a turf field similar to Sparks. And the question really is around maintenance. And at this point, my understanding of Sparks is that there's a replacement expectation, a lifetime cycle for the turf itself, and then of course the track as well, that the district does budget for. So there are plans at its lifetime cycle to go ahead and replace the track surface. The question around sprinklers, I'm not sure I have all the info on that, as far as keeping the grass irrigated, etc. Of course, our expectation would be, yes, we would maintain our fields and turf areas, and that we would make those available for the public where we can. Public generally does have to sign up for use of fields, and the track, I know at Sparks has hours where it's available for the public to walk or jog. And then lastly, how would you prevent people from bringing their dogs onto the fields? Well, at Sparks, actually, there aren't supposed to be any dogs there unless they're a service animal. So I'd anticipate the same rules at the different sites. Next question I have is, where can I find funding amounts for this year and 2 years prior and budget allocations, my students at Emerald Ridge? So it's a little different question than the capital. We're dealing with capital levy information right now. So that's really an operational, if I understand correctly, an operational question. We can answer it, I believe. So I'll pass that over to Laura Marco.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I was going to just mention to our visitor who posed that question. I'm not super clear on exactly what you need. If you can put your email in the chat box, I would, and nobody can see that except us. I would be happy to get back to you tomorrow just for clarification so that I can make sure that I answer the question that you have and not the question that I think you may be asking.
All right, good suggestion. I guess I should remind folks to please do add the email if they're not able to get to your question. Or as Laura said, we need to maybe do a little research to get the answer to you. Another question on the district mailers. So noting that we clarified a few things from there, so that's good to hear. You can still submit questions too. Definitely got another 15 to 20 minutes, it looks like. And another question is related to assessed valuations. So this is a great question because tax rates change every year. And with the way it works with school districts, I guess the bottom line is when we run a levy or a bond, whatever it is, in this case, a levy, the value amount for that levy doesn't change. So we run it for $125 million over 6 years. That's static. That number doesn't change. But what does change, of course, as property values increase or potentially decrease, rates can change. So if property values go up, then the rate usually comes down. And then the amount, though, that a person pays remains the same. So I could see if Laura's got anything in addition to add about valuations, assessed valuations, and taxes. Anything?
No, I think you covered it. I think the important point is that increases in property values do not generate more revenue for the district. We can only collect, say that this levy passes, we would only be able to collect the 125 million. It just is it may be based on an increase in value. It may just be a different rate than we're quoting now. This is this rate that we have right now is just our best estimate based on our assumptions for assessed value.
Great, thank you. Another wonder is, this is a 6-year horizon, and so we've estimated $125 million, but what if inflation continues at a really high rate? Would we really be able to do all the things that we think we can do with this levy? And that might be one I'd pass along to Brady Martin, because I think the capital team has some kind of approach that you have to be able to account for changes in inflation and other things. So Brady, anything on that?
John, I cut out. I didn't catch everything you said. I caught the last part about inflation and capital, taking that into account.
Yeah, and this basically has to do with explaining how we make projections over a 6-year period and how accurate those can be given changing conditions, changing economic conditions such as inflation.
Yes, so we take that into account when we're planning our projects out over 6 years. We look at the total volume of work that we have. We add escalation to each of the projects over the course of 6 years with the multiplier, so that we make sure that the projects we do have outlined will be fully funded at year 6 when we hit the end of it. So for this $125 million ask that we have out right now, we collect in two installments each year, a total of $20 million a year over the course of 6 years.
Great, okay, thank you. So we'll be prioritizing projects based on all of the different needs over that time. And so another question here is, why should people vote for this levy if they don't have kids in the district? Well, I guess I can reply to that in general. I think, first of all, schools are really the center of our community in a lot of ways. Of course, we're investing in the future of our community. As we have an educated student population who become adults. They're educated adults that are part of our electorate. They're contributing to our economy. And of course, the better educated those kids are, the better income they'll earn, the more they'll be able to contribute to our local economy, local society. And I think that that's kind of your big picture piece. The second one is probably more just what's it do for me? Well, it increases your property values. As you support schools, schools are directly one of the features that our realtors even express as people are looking for homes in the area. They want to know what school district it's in first, and then literally what actual school services that particular home. Is it an Emerald Ridge school? Is it a PHS school? They have preferences based on that, and those do impact property value. So when your schools are high quality schools that have very good facilities and very good programs, then property values are enhanced. Team, anybody want to add to that response?
No, that was perfect. I was just thinking when you were mentioning that, I just went by a real estate sign the other day that said, this house for sale in Puyallup schools, exclamation point. So it's a selling, definitely a selling point. And schools are a reflection of their communities. And to me, there's no better investment than our schools.
All right. And so I'm going to lean on our panel. Panel, do you have any other questions that you think we want to bring into the discussion that you may have had prior to the meeting today that you want to make sure and share?
I can share one. Often I get the question from people who are maybe they live in apartments or duplexes, and they pay rent for a house, and they ask if what the passage of a levy does to their own property taxes. Do they pay into that? And the question or the answer is yes. The property owners who pay the property taxes have that, that pay the taxes, and this is usually passed down to the renters in the amount that they are charged for rent. That's one. Other than that, those are the ones I usually get. It's all the money questions.
Yeah. And maybe Margaret, any other technology related information you think people should know?
I think I've covered most of what I wanted to share. The fact that a good number of our buildings have substandard internet internet access. I would also point out that the Puyallup School District is a one-to-one school district, ahead of many others in the nation. So we for quite some time, I think about 4 years or so, have had a device, a computer device for each student and each staff member. So that was due to, in large part, to community support to accelerate that one-to-one program. So we appreciate that community support, and it's it has served us very well.
Thanks, Margaret. Brady, any other capital facilities information you think that we would want to share this evening?
I think the only other question that I get on a regular basis is, what are we doing with the portables? So our district has a large number of portables. We have 221 portables district-wide, and there's ongoing maintenance improvements that have to be done to those. So it's part of this levy package. There are some improvements that will be made to those portables, such as roofs, and some of the heating and ventilation systems will be upgraded and replaced, as well as some flooring projects. So just wanted to kind of highlight that as a district-wide type project.
Great, thank you. All right. I do have a moderator behind the scenes, and you could go ahead and put any other questions, Sarah, that may have come in to you that we can respond to.
John, I haven't seen any questions on my end, but you might want to address the ballot drop boxes, the 3 ballot drop boxes in the area. There's, I know we have one at, well, I guess I could just do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
There's 3, there's one at the Puyallup Library, at the South Hill Library, and at Edgewood City Hall. And so those ballot boxes are open until 8 p.m. on November 8th.
They're currently available as well, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, so we've encouraged folks, school people and community out there to go ahead and, vote as soon as you get your ballot. That's one of the things that I think can't happen is we can leave that thing sitting on our counter and then it gets covered up maybe by something, child's homework, whatever. And we end up not getting it into the ballot box or out in the mail to make sure and get counted. So we just want to make sure and encourage folks to vote. And really, that's been our message. We're not telling people yes or no. We feel like we've got enough information out there that for them to make an informed decision. We do obviously think this is an incredibly good investment, but it's essentially up to the voters.
And Dr. Palm, we did have a question that came in through the chat with regards to public access at the junior high school tracks. So I didn't know if you wanted to address that.
Yeah. I probably didn't do a very good job there. I was trying to sort through some of the athletic questions. I'm not 100% sure how much access the tracks will have once they're put in at the junior highs. Currently, the Sparks Stadium track is available, when students aren't using it, or we don't have an event there. And so I probably need to get a little bit more information since we don't have an operational representative here tonight, unless Brady, one of you, has more information on that than me.
I don't have any additional information. I think it'll be the same for the secondary schools, the junior highs, where if there's not an event slated and the field's available, or the track's available, you'd be able to use it.
Yeah. So usually early morning and evenings you'll find people walking for exercise. But yeah, definitely want to keep those free of bicycles and other things that could damage the track, including animals other than service animals. We're about 6:52. I see we still have some folks on. Feel free to drop a question in the chat if you have any or have one. Well, hearing none, I guess I'll kind of back up maybe and talk a little bit about some of the projects. I know we talked about parking and traffic flow. There are a few of the sites in the district where we've made some modifications to how folks enter and exit the campuses. We're trying to leverage as much kind of real estate as we can. For example, at Ridgecrest Elementary, we've got folks going through Heritage Park entrance to try to make sure and get folks off of 94th. And various things that we can do, but there's only so much you can do with the space available. The glaring school that was in our video this evening, I believe, was Fruitland Elementary. Isn't that right, Brady? Yeah, and so
that's correct.
Yeah, okay. And that was there. I think it's been known to be one of our most concerning areas because we don't have sidewalks there near the school. And so kids and families sometimes will be walking along at the shoulder of the road. And then it gets backed up. People are trying to turn left or right. I mean, they're trying to turn across lanes of traffic during drop off and pickup. And then we can't really separate very well, buses from drop-off traffic. And this is one thing we've really learned since the pandemic began and we come back to school. We have noticed a significant increase in parent drop-off and pickup from school. So lower bus ridership than previous to the pandemic, and a higher drop-off frequency from families, which is not necessarily how these schools are designed. You know, they're designed with a lot of walking to school, and then of course expecting kids to ride buses when they're available and they're outside of that radius. So to make those adjustments now is pretty expensive if we're going to try to accommodate all those families. We're certainly hoping that traffic kind of reverts back to pre-pandemic levels, but in the meantime, it's been pretty challenging. So particularly at Fir Grove, you know, we'd have to move to the far end of our property there and put another entrance onto the campus to try to get cars off of the road, and then of course some increased queuing, parking spaces on the campus there as well. And that's the kind of, not every school's been fully designed, but that's the concept that we would have around the district. Anything you want to add to that, Brady?
No, I think that's correct. It's always a challenge to get a long enough queuing lane to get everybody off the street. And like you said, that coming out of the pandemic, the culture and the habits have changed. And so, you know, encouraging more kids to walk to school and to ride the bus is going to help. And, you know, our partnership with the local planning departments, the city of Puyallup and Pierce County and Edgewood, and their future projects and their master planning play a big key in all this as well, so that we can, you know, make sure our projects align with their projects, and we can make things better at each of the sites.
All right, well, thank you. All right, well, panel, anything else to add at this point? We're just about ready to wrap up. All right, well, thanks to everyone who joined us. I think some of the folks dropped off, especially you staff members that hung with us today. We hope you have all the information you need to share with the families and staff that you see regularly. And we thanks for your role in this whole informational campaign. And unless there's anything else, team, we'll go ahead and sign off. It's about 6:57 p.m.